What's up, guys? LL here, also known as Munnet, and we're going to go over some OLT games. I understand this is my first video in a while, and I'm trying to get back into things now that I finally got my mic working with OBS. But let's see, this is game 1 of Dora versus Tace. Looking at the matchup here, Tace has an alright matchup, as does Dora. Nothing particularly strikes me as 6-0ing from matchup. If that's a Toxic Heatran and Toxapex isn't Shed Shell, then it can be a huge threat, but I believe that Toxapex should be Shed Shell in this matchup, just because, like, this team is so weak to Heatran, obviously. Rotom can potentially pivot around and generate a lot of momentum for Dora if Tace plays too passively and gives it too many opportunities to get in and disrupt. But, if that is No Haze Toxapex, then a Calm Mind Clefable could potentially be a problem. Looking at Tace's side, Mega Tyranitar with the correct coverage could potentially be an issue for Dora's team, like Earthquake, Stone Edge, Ice Punch. Also, Calm Mind Reuniclus with like Z Psychic, or honestly any Z or even leftovers could be an issue for Dora if Mawile goes down early, as it can potentially wreak havoc against like most of the other 5. If that's Choice Band Tapu Bulu, it does limit it a bit, but obviously Choice Band Bulu doesn't exactly have a reliable recovery, especially considering it's going up against Rocky Helmet. At least it should be Rocky Helmet on this Skarmory. And, you know, aside from that, not really much that is like super threatening from either side. Let's just jump right into it. Tace leads off with Landorus, as Dora leads off with Rotom. Rotom's a good lead from Dora because it just gets momentum against everything but Superior, basically. Whereas I don't really like Landorus as much as something like Toxapex, because you can kind of just Toxic Spikes up right from the start, as it should be Toxic Spikes here with Reuni. And, you know, he kind of loses momentum into the Serp right away here. And now, like, Mawile, like, gets to knock off the Skarmory's Rocky Helmet, which means it can't really punish like Lando U-turns later as much and such. And now, so looking at by turn 3, you know, not leading Toxapex has put him in a bit of a backhand position, but now that we look at it, we see like, I also don't agree with Roost there. I probably would have either Toxiced or Spiked, but it's not a big deal. Just because I'm thinking like you gotta get some momentum or something, but Roost is fine. Now looking at this here, it's Rotom versus Skarm, so he's probably just going right back to Superior. He does go into Toxapex here on the Volt. Not sure if I like that, because Pex is pretty annoying for the opposing team. And now he keeps it in on Magma Storm, and he Scalds instead of clicking Recover. Interesting. We see no Lefty's recovery or Black Sludge, so it's probably Shed Shell as it is, but he goes back out into Tyranitar. Now, seems fine, oh, Tyranitar is a Heatran switching or whatever, but if he keeps doing this over and over again, he's going to get worn down in the long term. So his much better play here would have been Landorus, which punishes the Heatran, and you can, and like on the initial turn, you can do, if it's knockoff, you get to cripple either Clefable, Landorus, or Rotom and really make way for something else to start wrecking shop. Or if it's Swords Dance, you can basically get a kill very early on, as Dora cannot afford to sack Heatran this early on. But now he's like kind of forced into the back foot, takes damage with Tyranitar. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Okay, anyways, he Megas, goes for the Stealth Rock on the switch to Landorus. Not bad, not bad. He's getting up hazards to punish all the switching that Dora's been doing. He goes into his own Landorus here, interestingly enough. I would have gone in, I mean, Lando's fine. I just wouldn't want to risk anything. But yeah, here, I think you've got to just knock off the Rotom. Well, actually, It didn't get leftovers, and the Volt Switch did a lot to Toxapex, so it's actually Z, so you don't knock off. You probably switch into Superior to just like take the Volt Switch or Pump or whatever. As Dora continues to keep up the offensive momentum, Volt switches again, goes into his own Heatran. If I'm Tace, I definitely just click Glare here because he's probably clicking Rocks. Let's see what happens. Yup, as he does click Rocks, and that ends up... Now, the reason why I was saying that is because obviously he's got a Shed Shell Pex and a T-Tar to pivot around. He'd rather have Rocks to punish switches. But now that he's gone into Toxapex, I think this is a fine time to just scald away at the Heatran. As that's precisely what Tace does. And now he can switch into Lando here, perfectly fine. He chooses not to. It just gets like more scald damage, but see, you've got Toxapex low again, and if that's a Calm Mind like Thunderwave Clefable or like SD Mawile, that could be potentially problematic. He goes right back into Tyranitar here on the Earth Power, lets it get chipped even more. It's at 30% now. It dies to Earth Power on its next switch in. Things are not looking great. He Stone Edges on the Lando now. I get Stone Edge was a fine play in theory here, but like you're thinking, it's the last time you're out of KO range of Heatran. He's definitely switching out. What are his rock resists? Mawile, but that thing is way too valuable for him considering how much it can break with Skarmory not having Rocky Helmet anymore. Landorus appearing to not be a Scarf set, which means it has fewer opportunities to get in and pivot around. So I think, you know, Landorus is a pretty obvious play, so you've got to Ice Punch here and take back some momentum in the game, but Tace doesn't do that. He Stone Edges, which is like, it's not a bad play, it's just like not what I think you'd do. He goes into Landorus here as Dora U-turns. He goes right into Rotom here. And I believe what I would do here is like, he has been volting a ton, but Serp is getting low and it's not, but that doesn't really matter because it's not particularly valuable. You want him to volt into Heatran so you can paralyze it so that Tyranitar outspeeds it in future turns. So that's actually not a bad trade for you. And if he goes into Lando, you obviously just like go right into Skarm to punish. But he just goes for a Stone Edge here, dies to Z Water. And moving on, Tace is bringing in Superior here, and I think you just Leaf Storm here, because if he goes into the... Because like I said, Serp is not that valuable, killing Rotom is so nice. If you just Leaf Storm here, you get it out of the way, he goes into Heatran, you can glare it. Just fine. No questions asked. And like, your Serp dies in that situation, ho-hum. And like, what I'm thinking is like, also additionally on top of that, hitting Magma Storm through Paralysis is like 70% times 75%, which is basically 50-50. So it's like, not only do you not mind losing Serp, your odds of losing it aren't even that insanely high. But you know, he sacks the Lando now, and he basically sacks the Serp. He goes into Skarm on the Lando, so it can't really get much going here. I think if you're Tace, you kinda just gotta Spike there. Or, no. I guess, not Spike, but yeah, so Tace made the right play going Serp here, and then he's just gonna Leaf Storm, I assume, for the same reason I just mentioned. He Leaf Storms the Heatran again, which I don't really understand. I feel like you gotta go for something like... You gotta go for a Glare here for the what I mentioned already, but he doesn't. He goes into Toxapex on the Earth Power. He Scalds. He goes Tyranitar, sacks it. Goes Reuni. He Psyshocks on the switch to Bulu. He goes Skarm on Bulu. It Swords Dances. He Whirlwinds on the Heatran, on the Mawile, on the Heatran again. He Spikes on the Mawile, which is fine. He SDs, and if I'm Tace here, you know knockoff's gonna do like 50%. You just gotta counter, take out the threat, and then from there you could potentially do some bullshit against the Clefable. But you know, he just Whirlwinds here, which sends Mawile out, but means it can come in later. Now here, I think If you're Haze Toxapex, you go into that. If you're not, you just gotta stay in Roost, then Whirlwind. But he goes into Reuniclus here, as the Clefable clicks Calm Mind, which, like, you just put yourself in such a bad position. And now it, like, comes down to a Calm Mind War, which the game doesn't come down to a Calm Mind War, because Mawile just beats the Reuniclus afterwards. But like I said earlier, if he had played his if he had just countered the Mawile and taken it out, that Calm Mind War would have just decided the game. But you know, overall, looking at this game, Tace just did not play super aggressively, played passive, always never really like trying to make a hard read that would have won him the game. Like the one time he clicked Glare versus the Rotom was just like an aggressive read that didn't make sense. So, you know, Tace didn't play too great in this game, and there's no excuses for that. Now let's move on to the next game. This is game 2 of the series. Looking at the matchup, Tace is using like what looks like a pretty standard Mawile bulky offense. It's probably something like either Rock's Heatran or Rock's Gliscor, and Dora's using, I believe this is his ladder team with like Thunder Wave Mew, Hurricane U-Turn, Tornadus, Flash Volt Magearna, SD Scizor, SD Gliscor. Now, leading off, Tace leads with Rotom, which is perfectly fine here. It means that the Gliscor can't get its Orb off turn 1, punishes basically everything. Dora U-turns, he goes into Toxapex's Tace Volts. I would have probably Wisped there, personally, because you cripple something upon switching, but Volt is fine. He gets a free Toxic Orb with his Gliscor. He goes into Heatran. Heatran's a solid play there because it covers both the switch into Ice Beam Mew as well as a switch into Tornadus. And he clicks Rocks on the switch to Gliscor. As it's Swords Dance, he can't really defog, which means he doesn't do much. He goes into Rotom here. No lefties. And looking at the team, the Heatran, I believe the Heatran already recovered leftovers, didn't it? No, it did not. Okay. Okay, well, no lefties means you're on alert for something like Eopapa or Z. And now Heatran recovers leftovers here. And as the Mew was forced out last time, he's assuming it's not Earthquake or anything like that. And he's getting himself some momentum here by just doubling out into Rotom, predicting the Gliscor. Now, what I would probably do here is take the momentum one step further, because if Dora sacks his Gliscor like right there to pump, when it's like super free, the game ends. So I would have like volted out on the Mew, continued keeping up the pressure, maybe gone into like knowing that it's T-Wave Mew, going out to Mawile, clicking Play Rough. But you know, that's not what happens. He pumps, and you know, he volts, which is like whatever. Goes to Torn on the Roost. He knocks off the Mew's leftovers as he clicks Thunder Wave. I guess Tace probably didn't know that it was Thunder Wave Mew, judging from how he played, which is fine. I mean, you should do some scouting on your opponent ahead of time and know their sets on their common teams, but oh well. You're not going to expect him to bring his ladder team to OLT round 1. But anyways, you knock off, he Thunder Waves, which is pretty good because it doesn't get leftovers passive recovery anymore, which means Rotom pressures it way harder. Tace uses Pain Split with Rotom as the Mew uses Thunder Wave again. Looking at how much HP it recovered, it's probably max HP Mew, which, you know, you should really be running most of the time anyways. And he volts back out, his Mew's at 46. He goes into Mawile now that it's revealed Thunder Wave. As he roosts, he's probably just going for Play Rough to hit something hard here, but he gets paralyzed. Now this turn, he clicks Play Rough on the Toxapex switch. And now Dora is definitely using Recover here. He just gets paralyzed as he probably Thunder Punches. Scalds again as he Thunder Punches. And now, looking at this turn, he's forced out. You reveal Thunder Punch, so he's probably thinking like play rough Thunder Punch, knock off Sucker, or SD Thunder Punch. So I think it's safe to say he probably isn't going into the Gliscor on a play rough. So I think your play here is you just gotta aggressively click like Fire Fang, or if you have it, or he doubles to Rotom, which is a good play. And then here you should just Volt, but he pumps again, trying to catch the aggressive Gliscor, but then he nukes this with Gigavolt Havoc, which is fine as well. So Tace made a fine play there. Now with the Magearna, it takes 24, which means it's not Assault Vest, probably like, no, and like I said earlier, it's Flash plus Volt. And then now he gets into Gliscor, finally getting a little bit of momentum. Tace is going to go into Rotom here, as he's probably going to click Facade, yeah. Tace gets to use Pain Split. I would have probably pumped, but I mean, that's fine. He pumps here on the switch to Magearna. Misses. He volts out now, I assume. Oh, he Pain Splits again. I don't like clicking Pain Split there if you don't know the team, because it is Flash Volt gear. But if it Fluor Cannons, you can potentially be in some trouble. Now he volts out on the Magearna, going into Gliscor probably, as he clicks Pain Split again. Now here you probably just want to get off some chip damage on something, so Facade so you should probably just Facade here, which is what he does. Takes some helmet damage, but gets it back with Poison Heal. He goes into Heatran on the U-turn. And, one moment. Yep, there it is. Okay, and he goes into Rotom on the Facade. Like we do know already, he is gonna Pain Split here probably. Dora predicts that well, goes Toxapex. Rotom still gets some HP back, kills the Pex with Volt. And, you know, now, obviously, Mawile's threatening. Dora goes into Scizor versus the Mawile. He knocks off, as Tace just clicks Fire Fang and kills it. And at this point, Dora really doesn't have any room to do anything. As Tace just Ice Punches here, because he doesn't need Mawile. Dora's cooked at this point. Tace played this game much better, applying some pressure with his Mawile and his Rotom, never letting Dora get any opportunities. Dora had a very slow Mew in this game, being even slower than because the Rotom set creeps Jolly Gyarados, but still Mew really should be faster than like Landorus and stuff most of the time. I feel like you really want a fast Mew, as that's where its niche in the metagame lies, but you know, to each their own. I think this is a pretty good matchup for Tace, just because Elemental Mawile just ran through Dora's team for the most part, especially considering it wasn't Will-O-Wisp Mew, and Z Rotom was also a huge threat. You know, besides that, even like his own Gliscor was annoying. Heatran was an irritant with Rocks Up. Torn could just kind of cripple stuff with a knockoff, and the Bulu, if it's Bulu isn't really a huge threat because his Or plus Torn, but you know, it could maybe get like a surprise kill on a Greed Stand, but he didn't really need it here. Going to the next game, Tace is using a team he used in World Cup actually, with Z Landorus, Specs Magnezone, Subserp. I believe it's Shed Shell Toxapex, CM Megalodios, and like Pain Split Magearna. He could have changed the set since then, but that's what it was last time he used it. Now he's got Torn in versus Toxapex. He knocks off the Shed Shell as Tace just Toxics the Torn turn 1, which is very bad for Dora. And now he goes into Skarmory on the Scald, burns it, which is real bad because, you know, looking here, you know, he can't really check Landorus as well, which is a huge threat since it's Z. And then he goes Magnezone on the Skarm. Now, I think either you just click Volt Switch here, you know, like predicting him to do whatever, or you just click Flash Cannon, scouting to see. But you know, he doubles into Latios, which is fine because it should in theory threaten out the Nidoking. And he goes into gear as Dora switches into Mega Tyranitar. He fire punches as Tace just clicks Fluor Cannon, gets a lot of damage on it. Now obviously Tace is forced out. He goes into Landorus. As Dora just Stone Edges, he does not go for the aggressive Ice Punch to get momentum back. Tace clicks Rocks here. I believe, yeah, he goes to Toxapex. I believe that was fine. As, Dora really isn't pushing, like, pressure with Nidoking at all here. He clicks Toxic Spikes here. Clicks Scald on the potential switch to Nidoking to absorb them, which is fine. He Scalds again. He's just really trying to make sure the Nidoking does not come in for free. As he goes into it now, he on the recover. So now Dora's really got a bit of pressure. Tace stays in on the Ice Beam and scalds and burns. Now, if Dora just Earth Powered there, like even on the switch to Landers, he can just go back into Scarm and like press his advantage because he has a huge one here. Looking at the Nidoking and how threatening it is, but he just Ice Beams and basically loses his Nidoking here. Tace's play to Stain and Scald is perfectly fine because he's got a gear for the Torn. And like he doesn't really need Pex for anything else, so it's fine just like sacking it on an aggressive prediction. Then he goes Latios on Earth Power, which is great, pressuring it out. He stays in, clicks Ice Beam on the Chansey, freezes it, which means that it's pressured quite a bit more. He goes into Magearna here as he switches out into Tapu Bulu, which gives him grassy recovery with the Magearna. Okay, I assume that killed even without, because I'm assuming it's Choice Band Bulu on this team. And then Tace goes in to Lando, and he doubles out to Magnezone on the Skarmory. Very solid play. I think he's probably gonna just Volt Switch here, as yup, Dora sacks that. He goes into Toxapex. I would have gone into Landers here personally, but Pex is fine. Dora goes Chansey as he does what? He just clicks Toxic, wanting to punish potential pivot to Titar or Bulu. And now he's probably going to Scald here, not wanting to let the Nidoking in. Yup, that's exactly what he does. Good play by Tace, keeping up the pressure, making sure that Nidoking cannot get back into this game and start being annoying for him. And now, he stays in, continuously scalding, presumably just to not get the Nidoking another opportunity, but also just continuously chip the Torn. He goes back into Chansey, he clicks Toxic here on the Wish, assuming he's just gonna Scald again on the Torn. Yep. Oh, he didn't. He went right back to Magnezone on a double, which is interesting. I guess Dora wasn't really, messing with anything here. Clicks Flash Cannon on the Chansey. I think you go Landers here, yeah, on the Force Soft Boiled. If Z-Fly kills here, I think you just go for it. He doesn't. Gets poisoned, which is fine. It definitely kills from 69, so I think you just Z-Fly. He doesn't. You know, he's really getting chipped here. Wait, I think Taste kind of just has this one. If the Tapu Bulu doesn't have Mega Horn, which I really doubt it is, doubles into the zone again. Just clicks Specs Volt, goes back into Landorus. Kind of risky if he clicks Seismic Toss, but he doesn't. You just gotta blow the Z here, grab your kill. Now that Chansey's dead, Latios and Magnezone both are great because Zone forces a kill with Flash Cannon every time, and Latios just kind of, you know, messes up shop. And now here, the Torn's just gonna... I would have defogged again, probably, but you know, that's fine. He goes into Bulu, lets Rock stay up. And now he's going into Superior. I guess like sub is the play just to scout to see what move he uses. But you know, he Leaf Storms, which is fine. Goes into Magnezone on the Z fly, presumably predicting the Toxapex and trying to do something. Now he gets a kill with Flash Cannon, probably he's gonna sack Nido. Yeah. And now he's going into the Tapu Bulu. I assume this is faster. He wants to just stay in and preserve this, I guess. I mean, that's fine. Because now you do force a kill with Ice Beam. That does a ton. On the Mega Tyrannosaur. Can't really kill you with anything, so yeah, just Ice Beaming away is fine. Freeze absolutely didn't matter. Couldn't kill you with anything. Lottie plus Surf always beats Bulu. Tace wins the series. Seems like Tace really played nervous game 1, wasn't really comfortable with this team, playing passively. Last 2 games he made some great aggressive plays like the stay-in with the calculated stay-in with Toxapex against the Nidoking. Scouting for Shed Shell Scarm. You know, vaulting with the Magnezone situations, or if Nidoking comes in, you lose a ton of momentum, just knowing that you gotta keep applying the pressure and getting to your spots. And this like really was a well